Hey friends, Happy New Year and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom of two, and I share these what's for dinner videos every week to hopefully motivate y'all to cook more for your family and to give you some new meal ideas. Every week I share like some family favorites that I make over and over again, but I also try to share like 2 to 3 new recipes mixed in. So if you like these kinds of videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you can come back and see my future videos. As I said, I do these every Sunday, but I also share grocery hauls, lots of vlogs. Those are my like top 3 videos that I share on my channel. So if you like them, I'd love to have you stick around. But I'm gonna go ahead and get into this week's meals. So this week we are starting with Sunday night's dinner because Friday was Christmas Eve and then Saturday was Christmas Day, and I decided just to take those 2 nights off from filming and enjoy myself. So that is what I did. Christmas Eve we go to Andy's grandmother's house and we do like appetizer type stuff for dinner. So I take pasta salad to that. And then for Christmas Day, we fried a turkey again. We made a ham. We had mac and cheese, green bean casserole, stuffing, carrots, rolls, cranberry sauce. I don't think I'm missing anything. Mashed potatoes and gravy. I think that was it. And then so Sunday, we had a bunch of leftovers and we just had that for dinner on Sunday. Monday night, I decided to use up some of our turkey leftovers, and then I froze whatever was left over. And I made turkey and noodles. So I started off by boiling some salted water and cooking 8 ounces of egg noodles according to the package directions. And then in a medium-sized like saucepan, I melted 4 tablespoons of butter. Once that butter was melted, I added in about 1 small chopped onion and just let that cook for about 5 minutes until it was soft. In the past, when I've made like turkey and noodles, I've just used like jarred gravy or a packet of gravy, and that works just as well. But this time I decided to like make something a little bit better. So once that onion was done, then I added in my garlic and I let that cook for about 30 seconds. And then once the garlic had become fragrant, I added in some flour, paprika, and pepper, and I gave that all a good stir and let that cook for about a minute. All the directions and measurements will be listed out down below for you guys. Then I went in with my broth, slowly stirring that into that flour mixture. And I used 2 cups of water with 2 teaspoons of Knorr chicken bouillon, but you can definitely just use regular chicken broth if you want to. And I actually ended up needing to like whisk this. So I got my whisk out and really whisked together so that there weren't any lumps. And then I brought this to a boil. Once it came to a boil, I added in my 3 cups of leftover turkey, and then I turned this down to low and covered it and just let it simmer for about 10 minutes, stirring it occasionally. When it was done, I just tasted it for any seasonings. You might want to add more salt or pepper. I ended up adding more pepper, and then we just served this on top of the egg noodles. It was so delicious. Andy was like, "Is there leftovers of this? Please tell me there's leftovers." And then he took the leftovers of that for lunch. It was good. I will definitely be making this again whenever we have leftover turkey. And I actually have, I think, 3 bags of leftover turkey in the freezer. So you might see that again in the next couple of months when I use that up, or I might try to make something different with it. Tuesday night, I used some leftover ham, and then I ended up freezing all of the leftover ham. I think I got 3 bags from the leftover ham as well. But I used some on some pizzas. I like to pick up these flatbreads anytime I find them on markdown, whether it be at Walmart, Kroger, or Aldi, and then just stick them in the freezer to make for a really easy pizza night. I love it. It's just like so much less work than making your own dough, and it's really, really good. So I like to get them out and put them on the sheet pan and let them kind of warm up while my oven preheats. So I preheat my oven to 425, and then once it's hot, I pull these out, and they kind of like start to get a little bit crispy without all the toppings on them. And then I go in with my toppings. We did pizza sauce on all of them, and then some mozzarella cheese on all of them, and then some cheddar cheese on 2 of them. And then on the other 2, I did some feta cheese, and those are the ones that I put the ham on. We love ham and feta on pizza. Even the kids love it now. I think all of us, that would be our favorite pizza, ham and feta. And then on the other one that just had the mozzarella and cheddar, we ended up putting some pepperonis on that one. And here are the finished pizzas. I put them in there for about 10 minutes at 425, and then I broil each one for about 2 minutes. And we just had some fresh veggies on the side. I had a salad. Elijah had a salad, but Lily does not like salad, so just some fresh veggies. Wednesday night, I tried a new recipe for garlic butter oven baked tilapia. So I had my 3 pieces of tilapia in a little casserole dish, and I sprinkled them with some paprika, some salt and pepper, some thyme, and some oregano on both sides. As I said, this is a new recipe that we tried. We didn't love it. It was good, but we didn't love it. We've got, I think, 3 recipes that we absolutely love that are made with tilapia, but I'm always looking for ways to switch things up because it gets boring being the cook and just cooking the same things all the time. And then I'm sure it gets boring for y'all to see me make the same things all the time. So I'm always trying to find new recipes. So then to go on top of the fish in a bowl, I have melted 4 tablespoons of butter, and to that I added 4 cloves of minced garlic, some lemon juice, and some lemon zest, and I just stirred that together, and then I'm going to pour that all over the tilapia. And then this tilapia went in the oven on 400 for about 15 minutes. And I will have the link to this recipe listed out down below for you guys if you are interested in trying it. To go with our fish, I made a recipe from the Pioneer Woman Cooks Super Easy Cookbook. This is her new one that just came out. I got it for Christmas. And I decided to make broccoli cheese orzotto. So in a pan, I started off by melting some butter. And then once that butter was melted, I added in some onion and garlic and let that cook for a couple of minutes. If I can find the recipe online, I will leave it linked down below for you guys to get measurements and everything. But if not, I will have the cookbook linked down below for you guys. The only complaint I have about this cookbook so far is that none of the recipes have a time for how long they take to cook. Like no estimate on the time. So this is a time-consuming recipe to make. I feel like for a side dish, it took about 35 to 40 minutes to make this from start to finish. So once my onion and garlic were done cooking for about 5 minutes, I added in my orzo, and then I tossed that around to get it nice and coated with that butter, and then I just let that cook for about a minute. Then I added in 2 cups of chicken broth and slowly stirred that in. And then this is where the time-consuming part comes in. You're going to let that orzo absorb that chicken broth, and like most of it's going to be gone before you add any more. You really kind of have to watch this and pay close attention to it while you're cooking so that you can add in more broth. So then once that broth was mostly absorbed, I went in and added 2 more cups of broth. Once that second 2 cups of broth started to get absorbed into the orzo, I added in my seasoning. For this, I did some dry mustard, some cayenne pepper, some salt, and black pepper. And then I just let that broth continue to absorb into the orzo before adding the final 2 cups of broth. So then I added in my final 2 cups of broth as well as 2 bags of frozen broccoli. And then I brought this to a boil, just letting the orzo continue to get cooked all the way through and letting my broccoli get soft. Once most of that liquid was absorbed, my orzo was tender and my broccoli was heated through, I went in with 8 ounces of cubed up Velveeta and just let that kind of melt into everything. It took about 5 minutes for that Velveeta to melt completely. And then once the Velveeta was completely melted, I added in 1.5 cups of grated cheddar cheese and just stirred that around until it was melted. So here is everything plated up. We just had the fish on the side of the broccoli cheese Orzotto. And as I mentioned before, the fish wasn't a favorite. It was good, but just not a family favorite. I will link it down below for y'all though. But this broccoli cheese Orzotto, I will definitely be making again. The only thing I am going to change is I'm going to half the recipe. I should have known, with it being a Pioneer Woman recipe, that it will feed a crowd, because this made a ton of food. At one point I was worried it wasn't even all going to fit in the pan that I picked to use, but it did fit. It was just a ton of food. We had a ton of leftovers of it, and it was really good reheated as well. But just next time, I think even with half the recipe, we would have enough leftovers for lunch the next day. Next, I made sticky honey chicken, and this is actually a recipe one of y'all sent me a while back, and we've made it a couple times and we love it. And this time I decided to change it up a bit, so I wasn't doing as much work like with removing chicken from the pan. So I started by heating up some oil and butter in my skillet, and then once that was hot, I added in some boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I trimmed most of the fat off of and cut into chunks, and I seasoned that with salt and pepper. And I just let that cook over a medium-high heat until it was all cooked through. And then once it was all cooked through, I added in 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, a third a cup of honey, 3 tablespoons of tomato sauce, about 3 cloves of minced garlic, and a teaspoon of sriracha. And I just mixed that around really well and let that simmer for about 5 minutes. After letting that simmer for about 5 minutes, it started to thicken up a little bit, and then I added in the juice from half of a lime and let that simmer for a minute longer. We've made this a couple times now, and every time it's delicious. Definitely a family favorite recipe, and it's even easier to make now that I decided not to remove the chicken from the pan and just to simmer it in the sauce. Absolutely delicious. Definitely recommend giving it a try. We just serve it over perfect white rice with some green beans. Usually we do broccoli, but this time we just did some green beans. And that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. I know it was a little bit shorter because I'm missing like 3 days that I didn't cook. So I hope that you guys still enjoyed it. I hope that you got some ideas of some things to make. And I hope you guys are having a happy new year. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye!